You can memorize every biomechanics textbook ever written. You can study the exact joint angles of a world record powerlifter. You can understand the physiological mechanisms of muscle hypertrophy, the physics of leverage, and the intricate details of the Krebs cycle. You can build a perfect theoretical model of strength in your mind, but none of that matters the moment you unrack the bar. When 400 pounds is trying to crush you into the floor, theories evaporate. The only thing that exists in that exact moment is physical reality. The pressure on your spine, the friction of the knurling against your palms, the desperate expansion of your lungs against your lifting belt. There is a philosophical school of thought that perfectly describes this harsh division between abstract theory and physical reality. It is called empiricism. Born in the 17th and 18th centuries, empiricism argues that knowledge does not come from innate ideas, logic, or abstract reasoning. True knowledge comes from one place and one place only: sensory experience. Today on The Philosophical Lifter, we are going to explore why the barbell is the ultimate empirical tool and why you can never truly understand strength until you feel the iron in your hands. The story of British empiricism often begins with John Locke. Locke famously proposed that the human mind at birth is a tabula rasa, a blank slate. We are not born with pre-programmed knowledge about the universe. Everything we know, everything we understand is written onto that slate through our senses. We learn what heat is by touching a stove. We learn what gravity is by falling down. When you first walk into a gym as a beginner, your nervous system is a blank slate. You are not born knowing how to execute a barbell back squat. You do not have a genetic memory of the hip hinge required for a proper deadlift. Many beginners try to rationalize the movement. They stand in front of the mirror, overthinking every single cue. Knees out, chest up, break at the hips, keep the weight mid-foot. But thinking is not enough. You cannot think your way into perfect technique. You have to write the motor pattern onto your nervous system through sensory feedback. Every single time you perform a repetition, you are writing on the blank slate. When you lean too far forward and the weight pulls you off balance, your senses send an urgent signal to your brain. That was wrong. When you find the perfect groove and the weight flies up effortlessly, your senses record that feeling of efficiency. Excellence under the bar is purely empirical. It requires thousands of repetitions. It requires exposing your nervous system to the physical sensation of the weight over and over again until the movement becomes instinct. You build the knowledge of strength drop by drop, rep by rep, through the physical senses. Long before Locke, there was Francis Bacon, the father of the scientific method. Bacon realized that humans are incredibly prone to self-deception. We cling to dogmas. We see what we want to see. Bacon argued that the only way to find the truth is through rigorous observation and experimentation. You form a hypothesis, you test it in the real world, and you objectively record the data. In the context of strength training, your program is nothing more than a hypothesis. It is a guess that doing a certain amount of volume at a certain intensity will make you stronger. But the hypothesis is useless without observation. This is why the training logbook is the most important piece of equipment in the gym. The logbook is your empirical ledger. Let's say your beautifully designed spreadsheet dictates that you should be able to bench press 225 pounds for 5 reps today. That is the rational theory. But when you load the bar, the 3rd rep feels like a house. The 4th rep stalls. You fail the 5th. The non-empiricist will argue with reality. They will say, but the spreadsheet says I should be strong enough. They will blame the program, or they will stubbornly try the same weight again next week and fail again. The empiricist looks at the logbook. The empirical data says you failed. The sensory feedback, the slow bar speed, the breakdown in form is the only truth that matters. You take that data, you accept it without ego, and you adjust the hypothesis. You drop the weight, you work on your weak points. You let the physical evidence dictate your actions, not your theoretical expectations. This brings us to the most radical of the empiricists, David Hume. Hume took empiricism to its logical, sometimes uncomfortable extreme. He introduced something called the problem of induction. Hume pointed out that just because the sun has risen every day in the past, we cannot logically prove it will rise tomorrow. We simply assume it will based on past experience. Our entire lives are built on these assumptions, but they are never guaranteed. In the gym, this is the hard truth of autoregulation. You might have squatted 400 pounds for a triple last week. It moved fast. It felt easy. Inductive reasoning tells you that you will easily squat 405 pounds this week. But your body is a dynamic, chaotic system. Perhaps you slept poorly 2 nights ago. Perhaps you are carrying invisible systemic fatigue. Perhaps your nutrition was slightly off. David Hume whispers in your ear, yesterday's strength does not guarantee today's performance. This is why experienced lifters empirically test the weight during their warm-ups. They do not just blindly load the working weight. They feel the empty bar. They feel the 135-pound plate. They observe the bar speed. If the weight feels abnormally heavy, if the sensory feedback is telling them that today is not the day, they pivot. They listen to the empirical data of the present moment rather than the assumptions of the past. We live in an era of endless information. We are drowning in theoretical debates about optimal training angles, perfect periodization, and biomechanical hacks. It is very easy to get trapped in your own mind, endlessly analyzing and never actually doing the work. Empiricism is the antidote to analysis paralysis. It pulls you out of your head and grounds you in physical reality. The barbell does not care about your feelings. It does not care about your theories. It provides immediate, objective, unarguable sensory feedback. If you are weak, it crushes you. If you are strong, it moves. It is pure, unfiltered truth. Leave the theoretical arguments at the door. Step under the bar. Feel the iron. Gather your data. Let your senses and your logbook show you the way. I am Raj. No nonsense, just results.